Hey, Homeschool Mom, it's Kim here today. Do your homeschool plans tank during the holiday season and bring on the mom stress? Well, in this episode, you're going to learn 5 things that you most likely already do for holiday family fun, which count as education in your homeschool plans. We're also going to give 10 interactive learning activities that align with the core subjects that you can easily add to your daily homeschool lessons this holiday season. By the end of this episode, you're going to feel relieved and actually be able to enjoy the holidays this season. All right, let's get on with the great holiday tips that count in your homeschool plans. Let's go.
Hey, I'm Jenny Barr.
And I'm Kim Godfrey.
We're friends, former teachers, and homeschool moms ourselves who host the Homeschool Well podcast. We talk about topics that are important to homeschool moms so that you can be your child's best teacher.
You are really going to be blessed by the tips we have for you today for your holiday season. We know that there are things you're already doing that you don't know. You can count them as school. And the first 5 tips I'm going to give you actually come from one of our very first episodes, number 15, all the way back in December of 2002. I'm going to give you those tips again here very briefly. And if you want to hear us talk about the details of how we incorporated them into our homeschool journey, then you can check the show notes to the link for episode 15, which is titled Homeschooling Through the Holidays, Tips to Make Everything Count as School. So the 5 tips from that episode that you're already doing. You're going to put these down in your plans as education because they are. And number 1 is making lists. You are making all kinds of lists this holiday season, from the grocery list to the gift giving list to the cleaning and organizing list that you have to get ready before the visitors come to your house. Maybe you're going out of town and you're making a packing list. Just have your kids help you make that list or have them make their own little fun list. They can do inventive spelling. That is very powerful reading strategy for little ones to be able to just freely write how they think words are spelled and then read it back to you. You can also write it correctly for them and do a little comparison there. But any kind of list making counts as school. That's number 1. Number 2, Christmas cards. You can make Christmas cards. You can buy Christmas cards and have your kids write a little note inside. You can teach them how to address the envelope correctly. Where does the stamp go? Where does the return address go? If you want to get formal with older kids for writing a formal Christmas letter, where to put the date, the salutation, the ending, all those fancy things. Making Christmas cards and letters definitely counts as a language arts activity. Have fun with that one. And your family, if they're anything like mine, love homemade cards anyway. Add that element of invented spelling or having the older kids write a more formal letter. They will just eat it up. Number 3 is cooking. Any kind of cooking or baking involves measuring and following a recipe and taking inventory of the ingredients that go in the recipe. And those are all great math skills. Cooking is another thing you're going to do all holiday season. Get your kids involved, have them read the recipe or just have them observe you. They get exposure to measuring things, the dry ingredients, the liquid ingredients, all the different tools that are used for those things. Learning to cook and bake is very important and very educational, so please count those things as school. Number 4 is singing. We're singing Christmas carols, and you can add the YouTube video with the words on the screen, and kids are going to be exposed to all kinds of vocabulary in those songs. Some traditional Christmas songs have rich vocabulary and also words that are non-existent. That's a great time for a word study or just enjoying melody and rhyme and singing songs and looking at the lyrics, memorizing the lyrics. Great brain work there. Count it as school. And number 5 is performances. If they are in a little church performance, maybe they just play the animal, in the stable, or if they're memorizing lines or singing in the choir, or maybe it's even at family get-togethers, they do something fun for the grandparents. All of those performance pieces count as school, all right? So those are the 5 tips from episode number 15. I'll recap. It was making lists, making Christmas cards or letters, cooking, singing, and performances. And now I'm going to focus on some core subjects and how to easily add some specific activities into those areas with all age groups. The first one is language arts, and my favorite thing, journaling. It can be a paper journal or a vlog, a video journal where they record themselves. Anything they're reflecting on throughout the holiday season in a creative way. I'm into drawing and writing about the drawings in their journals. It can be their favorite activities that they've done from the past, some traditions that are things that they enjoy. And then they can also journal the Christmas season as they go. A really fun journal idea is for them to write about their Christmas presents and what they received, who it was from. And what I like to do was to keep a holiday journal. It was in just one composition notebook, and every year we could go in and see what we did for that Christmas season and some of the presents that we got. I kept it with all of our other journals, and then anytime throughout the year we could look in, see what we did a few years ago or last year, and maybe make plans about what we wanted to add to our Christmas journal that coming season. So a cumulative holiday or Christmas specific journal is a great thing to keep. Another language arts idea I came up with was alphabetizing the name of the ornaments on your Christmas tree. And this goes with the making list idea, and you could put that list in the Christmas journal. Gotta love that. You could also have older kids find where in the library, using the Dewey Decimal System, they would find books about specific ornaments. For example, if you had a flamingo ornament on the Christmas tree and they wanted to get a book from the library about flamingos, you could have them research the Dewey Decimal System and find out what number is on the flamingo books at the library. Before computers, it was important to learn the Dewey Decimal System, but it's still a really cool thing, especially since libraries all over the world use it. So they will learn that the flamingo book at the library around the corner from you is in the very same section with the very same numbers on it that the librarians use to catalog it and organize it as a flamingo book that is in a library in California. I think that's super cool. And those are fun ways to keep your kids busy around the Christmas tree as you're getting other things done, Mama. All right, so those are language arts ideas. Journal, vlog, alphabetize the name of the ornaments on the tree, and have them learn about the Dewey Decimal System. Here's a couple for math. Cooking and baking, we already talked about as far as paying attention to measuring. How about they create their own recipe, real or fake? They could use another recipe to copy from. Even the verbiage in the description would be fun to see your kids' interpretation of something like stuffing. But honestly, when you're talking about recipes and math and measuring and quarter of teaspoons, or if you're doubling recipes, to have them make something up like that would be very eye-opening, I bet, as far as their creativity, but also their existing measurement skills. You and your kids would get a firm grip on where they're at with their measuring skills if they tried to make up their own recipe. A second math activity is making a shopping budget. It can be for real or fake. Maybe instead of using dollars, they can use euros like they do in Europe or another money system around the world. And if it is a real budget and you do use it, they can keep a running balance of your budget for you throughout the Christmas season. So those are the two math ideas: creating a recipe and a budget. Here's a couple for social studies. Look at past photos from holidays and discuss the location, use the map talk about the geography and the topography of the location. Do some comparisons to where they live. Also, if you went to visit family, you can do a little genealogy study. For example, my mom's grandparents came from Naples, Italy. So I could have them look on a regular map and look on a topographical map and compare, and they can ask each other questions using cardinal directions. What big city is west of Naples, Italy? Those kinds of things. And this can just be your kids discovering maps on their own and making up questions. A second social studies activity would be to make a timeline of your family holiday events and vacations you've taken. You could also then compare your family timeline to what was happening in the real world at that time, or pick out a date and study what was happening 100 years ago in the world, or 100 years ago in their state that they live in. I love timelines, and it's very powerful when you start adding investigative questions to the timeline. I didn't do any timeline work when I was a kid. So when I started using timelines in my homeschool, my mortality just like hit me in the face. Like I could not believe seeing all these centuries laid out, like what a blip that my lifespan is on a timeline. It's just crazy. That's a powerful thing, especially investigating the history of their own personal information and their family. Good stuff. The next subject is Bible. Have your kids find their favorite verse about thankfulness and their favorite Christmas verse, and they can just memorize those verses. Keep them on sticky notes around the house. Say them as you're getting into the car, as you're driving. Recitation, not only is this great for spiritual health, memorizing scripture, it's going to come back to you when you need it, right? But recitation is great brain work. Such a good thing. The next Bible activity is to have them create a role for themselves into the story of Jesus's birth. Would they be someone who was in the crowd as Joseph and Mary were going through the town and looking for an inn to stay at? Would they be someone who was close to Joseph and Mary? Maybe they would be the innkeeper's kids. It is very impactful to just sit and imagine the reality of Joseph and Mary's life and the birth of Jesus and the location, the wise men and the shepherds and the angels, and just imagining that as reality and having them weave themselves into that story someplace is going to make that extra connection for them. So I just love that idea. All right, those are two Bible activities. Memorize some verses about thankfulness and about Christmas and write themselves into the scene of the birth of Jesus. The last one is science. Everybody loves some science experiments. How about having your kids cook or bake with acid and bases? Acid being vinegar and bases being baking soda. Okay, I know ingredients can be expensive nowadays, but you could research some actual recipes if you don't want to just do some throwaway stuff. I just think that whole concept of acids and bases in recipes is fascinating. And we all know the volcano experiment, with the baking soda and the vinegar. I mean, that's amazing. But I think there's a lot more that can be done when you start experimenting with cooking real foods and using those elements. And the last thing on the list is to learn where turkey and Christmas tree farms are around the world or in the United States of America, and then discover the challenges of both farming practices. I can imagine that if you go to a website like Purdue that probably has turkey farms, they would have very family-friendly educational videos that your kids would probably love to watch talking about turkey farms. And I'm pretty sure Christmas tree farms are all over the United States. It doesn't matter the weather. We have one in Florida, not too far from our house. One year, we cut our own Christmas tree down there. So what are the challenges of both of those farming practices? And maybe there's an opportunity for your family to get a turkey from one of those places or even visit for a field trip if it's nearby. Those are the science activities: research and experiment, cooking with acids and bases, and then learn about turkey and Christmas tree farms. And that is the end of our list for the core subjects. I hope this inspires you and takes the burden off of you about holiday homeschool planning. Don't feel like you need to go buy workbooks or print off a bunch of busy work for them to do. I hope many of these ideas can be easily incorporated into your day, and they add an element of fun and, most importantly, relaxed schooling as you go into this holiday season. It's about thankfulness and it's about Jesus's birth. It's a special time and there's so much going on. Jenny and I are praying that your mindset for the holidays is no burdens, only blessings this holiday season. And this week we invite you to join us on our member call Wednesdays at 4:30. We meet with our online community of homeschool moms just like you. And this week we're going to be talking about self-care strategies to help you relax this holiday season while you're homeschooling. To find out more about our online community, go to thehomeschoolwell.com. You can book a free discovery call with Jenny and I where we'll chat for about 15 minutes and make sure we're a good fit. We would love to have you gather with us around the well. All right, we hope to see you on our next call this Wednesday at 4:30, and we'll definitely be here next week with another podcast episode. Have a great day. Are you looking for a place to connect with other homeschool moms? Well, we have a platform where members gather to support each other throughout their homeschool journeys. Moms just like you. We even have a spot for your kids to interact online in privacy and safety. So head over there and start creating community. thehomeschoolwell.com.